I'm Shannon Wicks, and I'm in the home of Miss Ann Fields, and I'm interviewing her on December the 9th, 1999. Hello. When were you born?
When was I born?
Yes.
June 10th, 1924.
What has happened to all the other homes that's been in
You mean in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Well, there was 42 houses up here, and all of them were sold off, torn down. And most of the people were elderly at that time, and they sold out because they thought that, so many $1,000, that was a lot of money, and they sold out. And then some of the people, the bank handled the houses and a Dr. Ted, so they all sold out. And this house is 100 years old, and we had a new house that was built over next door, but my uncle married the second time, and his wife left well, she didn't leave it, but she fell as her half sister, so she got the house. So then later on she sold that one, and they've been trying to get me to sell this one, which I will. I'm anxious to, because I'm out here by myself now, and they have the man that owns the parking lot. He has had quite a few of the lights taken off of the lot, so it makes it kind of dark at night. But you have the generator over from Charleston down on the throughway, and so it's not. I put big lights on the porch, so it's not too bad. But that's the way it is.
Where was your place of birth? Where were you born?
Right here.
You lived here ever since you was a child?
Ever since I was born. Mm-hmm.
Who built the house?
Well, my grandfather, he built the house. He was in Richmond, Virginia, and he was a slave. And when they separated West Virginia, it was all one state, Virginia, and then they separated. And he was very fortunate. He had his master was Mr. Woods, and it was two brothers of them. And the one he had, he was fortunate. He was very good to him, and the other brothers were just as mean as he was good. And we had all of this in the new house, but it kind of far, because my grandfather said he always wanted to keep it in his family, because someone might come along and could write a book and let people know what was happening during that time. And so he said when they did, they got to divide two states. And I keep on thinking the papa's a little mixed up. I believe it was his father that was there, because when he died in around 1936, as far as we could remember by the Bible, he was in his 90s, then about 96 or something like that. He lived to be a very old age, and nothing was, it was just from my old age. He was in better shape than I am now. And he worked as a heart carrier and at the Canard Valley Hotel. And in them days, the only way you carried heart was over your shoulder. They didn't have these modern things where you put the cement in and mix it up and everything. So he worked, very hard. And then after he married that lady up there on my grandmother, because he had a few wives and they died, and he married her, and then he built the new house, what we call the new house, which was next door. And he was fortunate. He put both of his children through school. I had an uncle, and my mother. My mother taught over a place on South Hill called Anderson Heights. That's where she taught school at. And she taught school, and till she was married and had us three girls. It was four of us, and I'm the oldest. And and then my mother was born in this house too, and she died in 1993, and she was 80-some years old then, so that made her pretty old, you know, she lived at this time, and so.
What are some of your earliest memories about living in this neighborhood?
Well, to tell you the truth, that was really the best memories of my life. I mean, it was always a whole lot of children to play with, and you didn't have to lock your doors. Capitol Street was the main street because it was 5 cent stores on Capitol Street, and everybody from Chesapeake, every place had to go and shop on Capitol Street because it wasn't all these malls and things that they have now. And you could go downtown and leave your doors open, and everybody up here was like a big family. Now it was and we had fun times. My nieces don't understand. We didn't have we played with jacks, dominoes, old maid, hopscotch, and later on the hula things come. That was about the best. But we had much fun with it, and all the children, played. I had people say, now I have to take my child to see where she can play with some. We didn't have to worry about that because it was always children, and they came from Piedmont Road all the way back. Piedmont Road, Hansford Street, Marsh Street, Ellenwood Avenue, and all through. So it was always plenty of children to play with, and we had fun. But the children have always, how do I put it? Children have always been think they could at times not bad like they are now with all this crack and stuff, but we would go to different people's houses, and they always had something to give you. They didn't have no fancy cake tins and cake boxes and things. They would have cookies, and they'd be in lard cans. Sometimes people would make them fancy, put wallpaper or something around them. And it used to be a favorite lady over here in the neighborhood, and we knew, but we thought she didn't know what we as the children say, putting down. I'd go over and say, I said, kind of hot today. She said, sure is. I said, would you like anything? Because the little stores was all the way around. I said, no, I don't think I like anything today. I said, but I would like a glass of ice water. Now, I knew, but I thought she didn't know that I was asking that I wanted ice water. I wanted some lemonade. And she'd come out and she'd have this picture, a aluminum picture, and had an ice guard on it where the ice would stop. And she said, look ahead, when you rather have some lemonade and some the water. Oh yes, ma'am. Well, that's what I was. That's what I was working on all the time. And they didn't even have. I said I got cake boxes going to West Coast when I went to New York. I took a catering. Well, we didn't even have cake boxes. We had like you cook your beans and your cabbage and things in, and they would put the cake in that and wrap it up in a beautiful. Well, all the clothes were snow white. How come people did all that work? I would never know. And they put the cake in like a pound cake in these, wrap them up in these towels, and then put the top on them. And then when somebody come in, they could slice. It was always fresh. It was always fresh and good. And of course, then they had the real butter, and they didn't have all those things, the preservatives and stuff in it. And the Christmas time was the fun time because the grown people would be cooking. You couldn't be thinking about them cooking like the day, but they'd be cooking on the main day. And the children would be running up and down, and every place you go, when you got home, you had a whole great big plate of food where you have to have some cookies, and you have to have this, and you go to 42 houses, and everybody giving you just if they didn't give you but one cookie, look how much you had. So it was really a fun. And like my uncle worked on a government car. He cooked on a government car. He didn't have no children. So he used to bring us things from New York and places. I remember the little dresses they had, the skirt, and then they had a little bib that come up front. And then they had a little hat. And the hat had 3 pieces that went across the top. And we thought we was hot stuff. But there was still some children like lived up on the upper end of town that their parents were in better circumstances than our parents were. And they would sometimes come to school and they would have real fancy clothes and say, well, Diamonds at that time was a big store. Oh, look at this, look at that. And then we'd come home and would be kind of sad about it. And my mother said, now listen, said, now, I may not have, can get you clothes from for so-and-so and got their clothes, but you're clean. And we had Sunday school shoes and everyday shoes. And we'd have parties. I always liked to cook for a little bit of thing because my uncle was a cook, a good cook. And we used to have parties, and Mother sitting out in the swing, coming through the house every once in a while, see what's going on. And we didn't have, my uncle's first wife, she bought me some little cutters, like little designs, and we'd have, that was a big thing, potted meat, and ground up pimento cheese, and the little fancy sandwiches, and ginger snaps and things like that. But some of the children, as I said, there's always some that has a little bit more. They would have parties up around, way up on Washington Street and around, and a lot of the children would, and we had old-fashioned record player. You had to turn to run that thing. And so the children from, which we call the rich kids, they would leave their house and come, well, especially the boys, and then they would come down, and their mother was working for these real wealthy people, and they would have chicken salad sandwiches and all the good stuff. We wouldn't, but everybody would end up down here. Would end up down here. So that was fun, and that made us feel kind of big. But they have everything. They got this and they got that. But before they come to the parties, children always been kind of, like that. And then, like everything else, we'd have our little fights. And it wasn't until I got grown that I couldn't understand why, if you put a little stick on your shoulder, if it's like you got someone was mad at it, and put a little stick on the shoulder, and you put a little stick across the shoulder, then somebody knocked the stick off, and that meant that the fight was on. Now, what was the stick doing? I didn't realize that. What was the stick doing? You put that little stick across the shoulder, knock it off. Stick off. The fight was a little fight would start off. Then our mothers would come out there and say, now you beg your pardon, what I didn't do is now I'm doing. Well, anyhow, you're going to beg your pardon anyhow. And they correct the kids. You could do something and say so-and-so and so-and-so and so. But Miss so-and-so said you did, and you didn't be giving them no argument about you didn't do it. Lots of times you did it too, but you didn't give them no. And everybody looked after each other. I remember my mother had something like the flu, and we 3 little girls, when you got through with our clothes, honey, you had some clothes to wash, to do. They didn't have no washing machines at that time, so you borrowed the clothes. I guess that's what kept the details and things so white. And then they'd have a stick, and they would stir these clothes. They would wash these clothes. They would stir these clothes. And then they put them in 2 tubs, and they rinse them, and then hang them on the line. And them people, I guess, didn't have arthritis, and everything broke down because it was working them fingers and everything. So this lady worked for a real wealthy lady on the corner of Broad and Washington. It was Hubbard's. And she lived down the street. And she would come in from work and come up here and get our little clothes. And there was some dirty clothes because we play out in the yard in the mud and everything. And then kind of in the mid-evening, you would come in to wash you up and kind of give you a little, maybe take a nap, and maybe you wouldn't. And she came up here and she got all of our little clothes. A little dirty panties and take them down to our house and wash them. And they didn't have no orange. I mean, they just had the flat orange in. And it wasn't no drip dry and this, you hang up this and hang up that, and wash them and bring them back. And if you ask for any money, well, let me give you a little something. That was an insult. You helped each other. It was, you didn't be offering nobody nothing. They do the same thing for you. And of course, they had the tin tubs. And when you got a little bit better in the world, that you had a wringer, and you put these wringers in between the tubs. And when you got the ring sword out, you put these clothes through the wringer. And then they go out and they hang them up with them clothespins. The wind would be blowing and stuff. And they come in and be just as clean as they could be. And then the next thing they had to be on. And I said they had the I got one sitting in the kitchen now because I've been selling stuff to the antique people and everything. You had to put a pad over the arm and arm with them. Then later you got a little bit better. And then they had the arms that a little part went over the arm. You get the arm hot and then you put this thing and it click the arm. And you could, go a little bit faster. And so as I said, my nieces and things don't understand. But to me, it's beautiful that you can look back and see all of these things. And we graduated from icebox, had the ice, big old cubes of ice, you don't know nothing about that. And had the water, you had a day to empty because the water was running the pan. And just as you'd be out there playing jacks and having fun, the water pan would run over. Then you'd have to miss the fun and come in the house and empty the water pan. So we had that. And then Mother got a job because she couldn't sew and live with her daughter here. And she got a job at the, I think it was something like the welfare or something they put out. She couldn't sew, so they gave her a job of being the secretary. So we graduated from the ice box that you had to take the pan out to a box. It was lifted and had a basket. The motor was in a basket. It was up on top of the thing. Oh, then we was rich then. We had graduated from emptying that pan. From that, after that, we graduated to a refrigerator. I think you put the quart in it, a week of quart in it or something. And then the man would come in over the little box, and then, after a certain time, it was paid up. So, oh boy, we had gotten rich then. We had really gotten rich then. So, that's the way it was. And then finally somebody would get a washing machine, and they still have them in your chunks of clothes. I mean, it goes around and goes in the wringer. Some people like them. They say they do better than the electric, ones that they have out now. But and people wasn't. They wouldn't say, "Well, she's not gonna wear out my washing machine. I'm not gonna let her have." They would let you use it if you wanted, but no. Too many people do. They got a new washing machine. They just kept on doing it with them old-fashioned, the stick and the stuff and everything. I was saying. Told my friend called me from New York. I said, "Oh, you know what? I got a cake to take to somebody. There was food coming, and I don't have no aluminum foil." My friend said, "She said, we wasn't born with aluminum foil." And I said, "Yeah, we couldn't even afford wax paper. Wax paper was the first of them that came out, and then they came up. Poor people, you couldn't even, afford wax paper. And now if you run out of wax aluminum foil or plastic wrap, it's such a big thing that we have did. But that's the way it is. I do it all the time." So,
what is one of your strongest memories about the schools you attended?
The schools? I love the schools. That was another thing that I loved. The school because it was, all the teachers was, it wasn't with the white and the black. It wasn't like it was all black, teachers. And seemed like to me that's what that they had more interest in you, and they would take up a more, time with you. And we had fun in school. Of course, I never was a basketball or much of a sports fan, but we had them, you know. And but the schools were real nice. And the school, started out with a place over here called Jacob Arbors. That was our board school. Then from board school, we went on down to the school where they had the career schools, you know, teach people things now. It was Garnet School. And you came from board to Garnet. And of course, the children that lived on the west side, I think they went to Calvert. And we had a beautiful band, you know, and we had a lovely music teacher and everything. So I thought that was wonderful. It's what that my nieces and nephew hasn't, you know, they didn't have the privilege of enjoying all of that.
Do you ever have a favorite teacher?
Well, let me see. All of them I liked pretty well, and some of them I didn't, because when I went to school, they spanked you on the knuckle with a ruler, and I had a little thin piece of, we used to say gold, a little piece of brass. And we had a teacher, she used to beat you with them knuckles. She used to talk to us with them knuckles. And then we would be standing in the corner too. It was dumb if they put you in the corner. You know, sometimes you had to stand in the corner. Yeah. But I think it all paid off in the long run. It made us better children. And we used to then the teachers would come to your house, and they would not all of them, but some of them, you know, Annie's doing so and so in school as well as she could. And I had a teacher, he's passed on. Did you ever know Mr. Barnes?
No, I heard about it.
Well, Mr. Barnes was an English teacher, a very good teacher. I have always been shy. Because this day, I don't like to stand in front of people and talk, even if it's in church or anything. I have it, what you call it, inferior complex. And Mr. Barnes would say, now, Fields, you're going to do it. Because it would be different if you was a dummy and you couldn't do it. But you're going to do it. And they used to like for me to do, I'd be, I think they was called the Palamine. You make like that, all this going on, but you work with your hands. I'd be working, and the people would be going out. And the first thing they'd be going, and then I'd run like the telephone out, and they could all map it out. And I was very good in that. But he was the only one that could do anything, you know, with me that really made me do it. But he said, you can do it, and you're not going to sit down here and act like a dummy. And when we got that Palamine, I always got A's, and sometimes I got B pluses, but I was very good in that. But till today, and I'm old, and I still don't like to stand in front of I look like my knees get wobbly or something. I just don't like to stand up and talk in front of people. That's when I was so, but it wasn't that I didn't want this big little, if I had been sick, and I said, oh my God, I had promised to go, and Joe Allen was going to come and get me last Tuesday. It was so cold, and I have trouble with this leg and everything. Then they changed it to in the morning, and I said, let me call Joe Allen and see if she's going to come and pick. Remember, she said, we've been in back. I said, well, that was no good thing. She said, well, that changed it till in the morning. She said, but I think it could be arranged something that somebody can come to your house. I said, well, now that would be my cup of tea. I was going to go to the house.
Did you have a best friend?
Oh, yeah, I had quite a few best friends.
What were they like?
Well, wasn't much. We just run around and go to the ball games, and they come over here. As I said, I like to cook, and we make fudge and stuff like that. And some of them would get a little bit, you know, jealous of others, but we had fun. And all of the mothers always trust them to come over here. And sometimes I'm sure they fooled their mother, because all the time they weren't over here. But we had fun.
What was your most favorite toy or game you like to play?
Let me see. I liked Old Maid, and I like hopscotch. You ever hear hopscotch? You heard hopscotch?
Yes.
I liked hopscotch. I liked Old Maid. I liked about. I didn't have no favorite games. We had dominoes and the pickup sticks. Me and the pickup sticks didn't do too well. I couldn't have get them together for some reason. My sister, but me and the pickup sticks didn't do too well. No.
What kind of chores did you have to do?
Huh?
What kind of chores did you have to do?
Oh, we all had. I never did like to. My sisters and them, they like to wash. And I never did like to wash and iron, but I would clean. And always, as I go back again to cooking, I like, love to cook. I made some homemade cookies for, and I had some sparkling punch. A girl was there with a little child. She was going out the car to say stuff, and a little boy went in there and called herself pouring some in, had the punch cup and poured my sparkling punch. I had all over the floor and everything. I said, let me get this stuff up before these people get here. Y'all want a plate?
No, thank you.
I don't have no nothing to drink unless you want some diet lemon lime soda.
This is fine. Good cookie.
Thank you. When I went to the Dr. Tuesday, I would carried them a little box for our cousins. They had the hardest time, and none of them could guess what was in the little one, kind of the crescent, but the white, what's in it.
Was there like a special place where you and your friends used to like to hang out?
Well, wasn't no place much to hang out, as you call it, but we used to go down to the drugstore. They had two drugstores, Dr. Gray, they had two drugstores down there, and we'd go down there and have, hot dogs and soda. Didn't have too much money, we had to buy, but we used to go. But what was one of the greatest things that was hurting me, now, like, we could go to the movie, and we did something we didn't have no business to do. I begged for a whipping. I wouldn't get it because you get those 2 or 3 packs, and that would be, that would be over. But not to go to that movie, and they used to have movies on Saturdays, and like That's Wallace, and that's probably before your time. That's Wallace and the Ink Spots and everything, and they'd be in the shape of animals, they'd be playing the piano, people dancing, and Saturdays was about the only time that you got to go to the movie. I guess parents who didn't pay and everything. And boy, I was hurt my feelings if I didn't get to go and move. But as many times I didn't get to go though.
What was your first job that you had?
My first job was over here on Ellenwood Avenue, right across from the Charleston General Hospital. Of course, Charleston General Hospital is still over there. But it didn't have all the addition that it is now. You went up, just went up the steps. And this woman had a room and house. And the funniest thing, when my mother and uncle, you never would have noticed, when my mother and uncle was little, she used to bring them in the house and give them cookies and candy and stuff. And then when my mother had children, she did the same thing. And she'd give me a job. And I made $0.25 a week. That was, big money. Say $0.25 to these children, my nieces and things. That $0.25, auntie, $0.25. Give me $0.25. It was the A&P on this side and a Crocus on the other side. And I would go over there every day after school. Sometimes she wouldn't want nothing, maybe 2 pounds of sugar, I guess, just to help the little girl out. And I worked over there for a long time. And then after I got hired, I got a job up on Virginia, one of them streets, something apartment, and I made $2.50 a week. You go, Mr. Clark would let us out of school as you had homeroom period. And if your mother signed it and it was approved, you could work. You go instead of staying in the homeroom period from 2:30 to 3, you would get out at 2. And I'd go up there. Well, the grown people wasn't. I was doing good because the grown people in them days wasn't making but $7.50 a week, and $7.50. And I was making $2.50. And I'd go up there, and I'd fix it. They wouldn't have nothing but maybe a lamb chop and a baked potato, and maybe something green. And then they had the little bad, old ugly bulldog, little old ugly bulldog, and he was a small one. And I'd take him out and take him for a walk or quick around the block and bring him in. And sometimes I had to go by standing market. He ate better than we did. Give him some ground chuck and fix it for him and everything. So that was a good little job. I had that job for a long time. And then she liked me so well, like when school would start, she'd call her mother and say, well, you know, Ann is such a good worker. She's so honest and everything. Would you mind if I bought her shoes to start school? And that was a heaven sin. Everybody was wearing saddle outfits then. They only come at that time in brown and white. Later made black and white, and then they kind of burgundy. And then she bought me a pair of socks one time from down. It was hot. That was hot stuff. You had 2 eyes in it, and you laced them up. And then when you walked, the little bells rang. Oh boy! Oh boy! Hot stuff then. But yeah, we all my sister, mother's time, we had to work. It wasn't no hard work. It was lucky. Didn't nobody. Some people took advantage of the young girls working, but we always managed to have good jobs, and the people were nice. Of course, as I said, any people that had been around here long enough. You know, knew my parents and my uncle and them. There used to be a woman where Hardin, a Scotch funeral home was. She used to buy dolls every Christmas. But my uncle worked on. She would buy dolls every Christmas. They'd be great. Them dolls would be worth money now. You know, they'd be parts for dolls and everything. I took up a little antiquing, but I had to come home.